Hello and thank you for joining me today. Well, this is the Thursday, September 23rd edition of our video devotionals, and thank you so much for joining us. You ever heard the expression, you asked for it, now you got it? Well, I've been asking for fall weather, and now I've got it. Yesterday, of course, front went through. We ended up getting 3.25 inches of rain, so a lot of rain. And then we didn't have any power for just a little bit. The storm came with it. And then overnight, of course, the winds came in, the cooler temperatures, and here we sit somewhere around 55 to 60, I think. And then tonight we're going to be in the upper 40s. So I'm excited about that. I always have loved fall of the year. And of course, literally the leaves are going to be falling and are falling, and a little bit to clean up, of course, but that's okay. So I did ask for it, now I've got it. So I'm outside enjoying these beautiful temperatures. Almost chilly, to be quite honest, when you're sitting in the shade, but here we are. So we started our theme on Monday using the word leaf or leaves. Today we're going to be in Daniel chapter 4. A lengthy story. I'm going to condense it just as much as I can, but all that to say, the reference that deals with the word leaf or leaves in it, there's a pretty great truth found in it that I think will be encouraging to us today. So if you got your Bible, Daniel chapter 4, I'm going to begin in verse number 17 and read just a little bit down through about verse 26. The setting here is that King Nebuchadnezzar is about to have his second of his first major dreams. Daniel interpreted the first. No one else could do it. The dream, of course, was of God. And then here's this second dream, and Daniel's going to interpret it. But notice Nebuchadnezzar describes the dream. So at the end of that, it says here in verse 17, this matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basest of men. Wow, what a tremendous statement here. Now, Daniel's going to say something about the dream. Verse 18, this dream I, King Nebuchadnezzar, have seen. Now thou, O Belteshazzar, declare the interpretation thereof, forasmuch as all the wise men of my kingdom are not able to make known unto me the interpretation, but thou art able, for the spirit of the holy gods is in thee. Then Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, of course, being the Babylonian name given to him, Chaldean name, was astonished for 1 hour, and his thoughts troubled him. The king spake and said, Belteshazzar, let not the dream or the interpretation thereof trouble thee. Belteshazzar answered and said, My lord, the dream be to them that hate thee, and the interpretation thereof to thine enemies. Now the dream's about a tree. Knows what it says. The tree that thou sawest, which grew and was strong, whose height reached unto the heaven, and the sight thereof to all the earth. Verse 21, whose leaves were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and in it was meat for all, unto which the beasts of the field dwelt, and upon whose branches the fowls of the heaven had their habitation. It is thou, O king, thou art grown and become strong, for thy greatness is grown, and reacheth unto heaven, and thy dominion to the end of the earth. And whereas the king saw a watcher and an holy one coming down from heaven, and saying, Hew the tree down and destroy it, yet leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass, in the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beasts of the field, till 7 times pass over him. So in short, basically what God is going to do to King Nebuchadnezzar is he's going to greatly humble him. He's going to take King Nebuchadnezzar and he's going to reduce him basically to the state of an animal for 7 years. And he's going to crawl around, and you can imagine what people would say and think of that. And yet at the end of it, here's basically what's being said here that's going to happen. That they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and they shall wet thee with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall pass over thee, till thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. And whereas they commanded to leave the stump of the tree roots, thy kingdom shall be sure unto thee. After that thou shalt have known that the heavens do rule. So the lesson is going to be, of course, to King Nebuchadnezzar himself, and basically to all of us, that God rules amongst the kingdom of men. He can raise up and he can bring down at any point. So I'm saying that for all that's going on today. You know, we look at our country and say, man, the leadership in all facets, and very disappointing in some of the areas of our government where men rule. And you wonder, man, does not God see some of the things that are really the real things that are detrimental to the people of God, to the nation itself. And yet, we must realize that God places and God can remove and God can change things in any given moment. So God can do these things. Man's not ruling, God is, and God is allowing things to happen. And we know from the story here of King Nebuchadnezzar that God can bring lessons to all of us, and certainly to the leadership that we look and say is lacking, or maybe thinks they're so superior that they're even superior to God, because many of these people they're godless. And at the end of the day, Nebuchadnezzar learned the lesson. So you can imagine him out there crawling around and people looking and saying all the statements that they can make. But Daniel knew that this was God's way of saying, I rule amongst the kingdom of men, and I can raise up and bring down. So I think that's the lesson for today. And of course, going back to that reference here, Nebuchadnezzar saw a great tree, which was basically him. The leaves were fair, the height was tremendous, the fruit was abundant, and yet God said, you know what, Nebuchadnezzar, you didn't do that on your own. I allowed that to happen, and I can change all that. So let's just be reminded that God is God, and it's encouraging to me today to know that whatever happens in our country, whatever happens even around us on a local level, and you look and say, well, that's leadership is making these things happen. Okay. Yeah, but God can change that at any time. Just remember that God's in charge, and that's a good lesson for us today. So hope you have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. We're going to end this tomorrow. We're going to be in the book of Revelation. That'll be fitting, the last book of the Bible, and we'll end this series on Friday. So have a great Thursday. I hope you continue to be safe and blessed, and also to be healthy. And hope you have a great day. See you tomorrow.